This is a PowerPoint on the cultural and environmental impacts of hunting in Wisconsin. My name is Matthew St. Ors. The objective of this PowerPoint is to go over the history of hunting regulation in Wisconsin, impacts of human interference on the environment, the effects of the relationship between humans and wildlife, and the impact of climate change on hunting. Methodology that I used to get the research project. I gathered some information from articles and scholarly papers on topics related to this issue, gathered some historical context from the regulation in Wisconsin regarding hunting, looked at the health and safety implications regarding hunting and wildlife, to human transmitted diseases, diseases such as Lyme disease, and I looked at the comparative historical data on the impacts of climate change and the ecosystem in Wisconsin, comparing, today's ecosystem to the ecosystems of the past. One of the results that I gathered from this research project were looking at rules and regulations. Found out that these regulations date back to 1851, and these are responsible for controlling the extent of hunting in Wisconsin. Population fluctuations inspired changing regulations for more control. Safety measures were set in place to reduce hunting accidents. Things like education programs to promote safe hunting, gun safety, requiring permits and deer tags, stuff like that, to make sure only you have a little control over who's doing what. Seasonal land ownership in northern Wisconsin, which was used for hunting. In the early 20th century, people bought a lot of land in the north region of Wisconsin for recreation, such as hunting and fishing. It was primarily used as an escape from the busy life of urban living, as most of these people gathered from southern Wisconsin or the northern parts of like Illinois or Iowa, Minnesota. Cultural impacts on year-round locals, as the economic value was highest during certain seasons. So in places where a lot of people do travel for their seasonal land ownership, this impacts the locals there because they're not there year-round. So yeah, that definitely. And looking at some environmental costs to hunting, the gray wolf in Wisconsin is responsible for much of the success of Wisconsin's ecosystem. And there have been a lot of projects regarding the gray wolf in recent years. A little more context: gray wolves hunt white-tailed deer, which upsets many hunters, which leads to illegal poaching of the recently unendangered species. The gray wolves have been endangered for a long time until 2020, the beginning of 2020, when former President Donald Trump decided to remove them from the endangered species list. This natural population control that the gray wolves are responsible for is vital, as the spreading of disease between wildlife and to humans is growing more and more dangerous as global temperatures rise. Going more into that, the impacts of climate change on hunting. The spread of diseases like Lyme disease is growing due to longer periods of warmth for deer ticks to survive and bite. Deer ticks and multiple other types of ticks and mosquitoes and little species like that which can suck blood and distribute blood, also distribute disease. And this is a big problem given that Wisconsin's winters have kind of been a clearing slate for that. It doesn't really happen anymore as Wisconsin's winters warm, and these animals and species are able to survive the winters and longer summers. This leads to certain habitats becoming uninhabitable, which also leads wildlife to expand and migrate to more appealing environments. For example, a lot of deer are migrating north. The expansion of disease-carrying species into Wisconsin due to warmer climate. This as an example, can use the Lone Star tick. This is not a native tick species to Wisconsin, but in recent years it's been found more and more frequently. This tick is responsible for creating an allergy to red meat. It's kind of scary, kind of spooky. To conclude, human impacts both locally and globally with climate change. Importance of regulated hunting, impacts on wildlife and the ecosystem, health and safety risks of hunting today, climate change's impact on the ecosystem in Wisconsin are all things that we discussed and that I did research on and found very interesting. And here are some of the sources. Thank you.